Welcome. We are back. Another green day in the market. I mean, this is the craziest run we've seen in a pretty long time. Yeah, just wild all over the place. We had some earnings today. Fisker closed pretty flat after hours on the back of earnings. Then we had a Lucid drop like 12% after hours on earnings. So a couple of those EV names reporting. We have some more mid caps coming out throughout the week. But yeah, a lot going on. The market's went even higher. The ARK ETF is touching 50 now. It was up 6% today. SPY was up 1.5%. Q's up about 3%. Huge moves across the board. We have so many different swings hitting targets and premium, outside of premium. Pretty good stuff going on. So I'm going to get to all that in a little bit. I'm going to start off with crypto and then other markets, and then we'll head on over into the stock market and then individual stocks. But yeah, let's see what's going on. Really not much has changed in the world of crypto from what I've seen in the past 24 hours. You're just kind of pulling back a little bit more on Bitcoin. Kind of had a breakout of that wedge, and then you just went all the way back down to this same level. You can see this level. It was support over here, then it was support over here. Now you're retesting it again. You did get a 4-hour bearish engulfing candle, so you're just kind of sitting on, I wouldn't say on the sidelines, but you're just kind of resting after that big pullback. You just developed this new 4-hour candle. Just need some more price action eventually. All I really want to see on Bitcoin is another higher low, be the third one in a row, or maybe even if you really want to like zoom in, like take a look at it like this. So 1 higher low, 2 higher lows, 3 higher lows. Anywhere that's higher would be a 4th higher low actually, from like the overall trend, and then like a third one from this mini trend. But yeah, it's just in pullback mode right now. Really nothing to update apart from that. Ethereum's kind of doing the same thing. It does have that confirmed hidden bearish divergence. You did reject that previous support level as resistance, and you're just testing that for right now. So Litecoin as well, pulling back. This one kind of hurts a little bit. It was pretty close to that first target. It was only 3% away, and at those highs it was up like 15% since the entry. Now it's only up 3% since the entry. So again, another rough pullback. But again, the eventual hope for a lot of these cryptos is that just eventually they hit those final targets. So even if it's taken some time to get to just the first target, you might need this consolidation to set you up to hold these support areas and then eventually get you up there. But we'll talk about it if and when we get there. And then same thing for Link, just still testing this little choppy zone. So not much to talk about on the crypto. That really wasn't the main focus today. Let's move on to some other markets. You have the US 10-year still retesting this previous support area, this head and shoulders neckline as resistance. You got above it for a little bit today, and then you kind of closed with the shooting star candle formation. That MACD is curling back towards green, but there is no divergence anymore because you made a lower low on price. You would have had to have made a higher low on price to get any sort of divergence or any hidden bullish divergence. So that's the US 10-year. Then we got crude oil, and this is kind of the big update. Keep an eye on gas prices, but this is actually the first time you've closed under this level, this huge support level, since you broke above it back in February. This was right around when Russia was invading Ukraine. That's when this first crazy move happened, and we've just been chopping around ever since. And this is the first time since then that you're actually breaking the support level with daily candle close confirmation. So you took out the $93 support. You're just kind of heading lower. I wouldn't say there's much of a short-term pattern right now, but you can definitely see that the very important support area is no longer being held. So that's a big change for crude oil futures. Keep an eye on just energy in general. You also have the XLE energy sector pull back 3% today while the overall market was much higher. So you're starting to see this kind of pullback forming in energy as well. You did have a bearish engulfing candle on the XLE today. And you also have hidden bearish divergence developing on the daily. So, I was very proud to have called this top. That literally the day that you were at the top, I had a whole entire stream about why I was bearish on energy. Then we sold off over here. Then in these areas, I was talking about being bullish. And you pretty much ran up to this resistance I had charted, which dates back to some of these highs and maybe even something all the way back to like the mid 2010s. I mean, you pretty much retested that, pulled back, and now you're kind of selling off again and probably breaking a demand line. So I'm probably flipping back to bearish on energy at this point. That's a rejection of resistance, bearish engulfing candle, hidden bearish divergence, upsloping channel, or even maybe a bear flag breakdown. That's a lot of bearish variables just kind of piling up on top of each other. So big change over there. Metals just kind of going sideways after testing resistance yesterday. You do have that hidden bearish divergence developing for them as well. And then the dollar currency index pretty flat, same thing for the Hang Seng index. So nothing too crazy. I'd say the biggest change for sure was that crude oil support break. But yeah, we can head on over to stocks now. And I love patting myself on the back. I love talking about when I'm right. But I'm gonna be honest, like, this is a move that I was not expecting. If you've watched the last couple of nights on the stream, I've been saying that I think, you know, you're looking like it's a little bit of time for a pullback. You're losing the volume. Like we still have those same formations that we've been seeing. The upper Bollinger Bands losing volume. Or you still might have, let me check this out really quickly. The classic bearish divergence developing, the triple classic bearish divergence developing on the 4-hour. Like all the bearish variables were kind of piling up. And then on top of that, we even had a 4-hour bearish engulfing candle yesterday. Just all those variables getting invalidated. And you're just moving even higher. So really the price action today, we talked about this range last night on stream. You ended up breaking above it, then you ran up to this next resistance zone, which dates back to a range from like early June. I'm sure a lot of you remember this 10-point range from 407 to 417. So you pretty much retested this resistance zone today. You pulled back a little bit off that towards the end of the day, or in the last 15 minutes of the day. But the move prior to that was just a gap up and just running. And like the only thing that I did talk about that kind of related to this last night, you can go back and see last night's stream, I did talk about this little wedge formation. But again, I wasn't even thinking that that would lead to a 1.5% move. I was just looking at that as like a low time frame pattern, and you kind of gapped out of it and then you just ran the whole day. Yeah, that was really the price action from today. So probably not I wouldn't say probably, definitely not what I was expecting in terms of the overall markets for today. But that's just how it goes sometimes. You broke over resistance. You even had just a lot of different autopilot modes things happening. You had like this first demand line, you broke it but did nothing. Then you could have created like 2 or 3 other different demand lines. I even tried to alert puts on one of them. Just autopilot mode. There really isn't much else to say. So that was really the price action from today. I still see the bearish variables on like the 4-hour chart over here. On the 1-hour, you are testing resistance. You also now have 1-hour classic bearish divergence developing. So you've got those different variables occurring even on the RSI. The only one thing I will say though from today is that if we go over to the daily, you did break above not only a resistance zone, but this last 3 days of consolidation. So the oscillators are, you know, they're still looking a little bit bearish to me despite the move higher. But the one thing that the bulls were able to do was get a new high close of the rally, break above this resistance zone, this blue zone over here. So the trend is still your friend, I guess. It's just the bearish variables kind of underperforming in this super bullish condition for the market, at least for right now. It's going to be interesting to see how we react to these highs over here from the beginning of June. That was also your lows from beginning of March. So keep an eye on that. And that's really the update for the SPY right now. The Qs really did outperform today very nicely. They also broke above a very big zone. It's this yellow zone from these lows over here, these lows over here, and then these highs over here. You actually broke above that zone as well today. So, you know, you still have those like oscillators and stuff showing you those signals, but you are breaking above resistance, that is for sure. So if we go over to the 4-hour, you can see that classic bearish divergence. It's not really developing for right now with the move higher. It's getting halted, at least for right now. You are overbought on the 4-hour. The last time you were overbought on the 4-hour for the Qs was all the way up over here. So this was the last time you were overbought on the 4-hour. You're now overbought again. We'll see how that develops over the next few days. Then we have the Russell 2000. We talked about that channel breakout. That's playing out pretty nicely, and it even got above another huge level. So this is really the story from today. Like, you know, there were the bearish variables, they just didn't play out, and kind of with that, you broke above huge levels in terms of resistance for the market. That's what we were talking about last night, maybe even the night before. Those resistance levels, you're actually above them now. So that's really interesting. You know, who knows if it's going to be an up thrust, like overall you just get above these resistance levels for a couple days and you're back under. But as long as you're above it, like you're above resistance, and now it's your support, unless you break under it, then that would be a breakdown of support. So there's really not much else to say apart from that. Even like that 4-hour bearish bat, like you're now passing the pattern completion zone, so that's been getting invalidated. You still do have the 4-hour classic bearish divergence developing, so there is that. And and that's really it. So finally we have the ARK ETF. Very nice move. You actually gapped up above this yellow resistance zone, and you pretty much ran up to test the supply line of this larger wedge. So highest candle close for a day for the ARK ETF since May 4th. So in about, what, 3 months, highest candle close for the ARK ETF for growth stocks, mid caps. But you are testing a very key level, which is $50. It was this resistance back from 2018 and 2019. So that's really where you're testing. And that's really it for the overall market analysis. Again, we had some earnings after hours. We had a Lucid report. We have an article pulled up. I don't know if it's going to be like cut out by my chat, but yeah, down 12%, I believe, after hours. Second quarter revenue of about 100 million, driven by customer deliveries of 679 vehicles in the quarter. Strong demand with over 37K reservations, representing potential sales of approximately 3.5 billion, and production volume outlook for 2022 revised to a range of 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles. Let's see. So I don't know if it was this revision that kind of changed things. Our revised production guidance reflects the extraordinary supply chain and logistics challenges we encountered. So another company being affected by all these different supply constraints. So that was really yourself on Lucid. And then of course we did have Fisker. Shout out to Tommy Kopp on Twitter, who wrote down some notes. I saw some Twitter earlier. We could just kind of read a few of them. The Ocean One sold out. That's cool. They're not going to be recognizing those $5,000 deposits on it until the vehicles are delivered. This is a big one. They still have over $850 million in cash. I know it was around like $1 billion maybe a couple of quarters ago. So they are spending money. Of course, they're trying to launch their company. Experience centers opening later this year. Crash tests and 5-star ratings. I'm really just reading what you're seeing. But they could have a lower delivery cost if logistic costs come down. Pre-orders for the Extreme on November 18th. So that's in about a few months. The Ultra and the Sport versions of the Ocean coming out in the first quarter of next year. A new platform for the pair. That's actually really interesting. Minimum, I think it's minimum 250,000 pairs per year. I don't really know what that like pertains to, but that's an interesting number for the pairs. And there's already 4,000 pair reservations. They have a plan in place for the EV tax credit. Service centers, raising capital at the right valuation, different approaches to raising money, inflation, and commodity costs. They're exploring non-dilutive funding to ramp up production. That is something to keep an eye on. Again, you probably want to go and read the actual like full report. These are just notes from literally Twitter, but that's definitely something interesting. I believe it closed flat after hours, so I don't know. And then yeah, a couple other things. So that's really it from like the earnings. Again, these are like, well, Lucid's not really pre-revenue anymore, but they both are still very early EV companies. You know, there's certain doubts in certain areas for both, and then there's also excitement in certain areas for both. So it'll take time to see how things really do unfold, which makes it a little bit hard to just judge things off of earnings like so early on. But yeah, in terms of just like the chart for Lucid, you did have this drop over here. You're kind of back at this support level that you've been holding for about the past week, around 1785. So that was really the move after hours. And then for Fisker, pretty flat after hours, didn't really do much. So literally no change after hours. Guess that's okay. I mean, it's better than selling off. And actually, just in terms of the chart for Fisker, we'll see how it looks like in the morning. But you are back above this resistance zone. It used to be support, then it flipped into resistance. Last night I was talking about that hidden bullish divergence and how Fisker looked very similar to how CLOV looked right over here. And what did CLOV end up doing right after that? It broke out of this resistance zone and it's been running ever since. What did Fisker just do? It just broke out of that resistance zone. You're only barely above it, and you did just have earnings, so it's not like you're out of the woods completely, but it's a very good initial start. It was up 6% ahead of the earnings coming out today. This is the highest candle close for Fisker since June 2nd. If the swing was not marked to break even when it fell back down to the entry, it would now only be about 5% away from the first target. And yeah, like I've said the whole entire time, you're still out of the wedge, you still have the classic bullish divergence, you still had major bottoms at $8 multiple times, and now you're rallying. Like, I think you also still have a pretty high short interest on this one too. Like, the variables are there, they've been there. So, yeah. So that's Fisker and Lucid. Let me talk about the swings for a second. We have CLOV, which was flat today, but did have a nice move in the morning before pulling back later in the day. And CLOV did hit the second target. So I alerted Clover as a swing trade at 237 today. It officially hit that second target. That was the exact high of day, actually. We talked about this last night on stream. But 324, that second target, was the exact high of day today. Perfectly tapped it. That level was because of a couple of these highs you can see over here, these candle wicks. So great job. 37% profit currently at the highs. And yeah, 336, like the next more major resistance I see apart from that level you topped that at today, and this low and this high we were talking about last night. Apart from that, not much has changed. You know, I have some more levels on the 1 hour. At this point, you're above the major resistance zone. That's what we were talking about for weeks. You're now above it. It's just a question of how do you react to all these different levels on the chart, which are there in front of you. So yeah, ended up closing flat, but nice move in the morning. Then all the other swings were green today. FCEL is up about 5% since the entry. You've got the confirmed hidden bullish divergence. You're testing the supply line or the trend line of this falling wedge. It's still testing its breakout, pretty much the same as yesterday. Then we have Best Buy, which was up about 1%. It's still just in consolidation mode. We're just waiting for more data here. Hopefully it can break above this little trend line that we were talking about last night. So not like a major update there. And that's literally it. I mean, we have other swings that already hit targets. Uber, which hit 2 out of its 3 targets after earnings yesterday, made a move higher today. At the highs, it was only 3% away from the third target, which would have been a 51% gain, or will be a 51% gain if it does hit. So again, just this has got to be one of the greatest rounds of swings in a pretty long time. Like literally at the highs today, the Uber swing was up 45% since I alerted it. Again, this is a completely free alert. All you got to do is be in the Discord. Link is in the description. Let me see if I could find it. There we go. June 21st, everything's timestamped. You can see what the chart looked like. It was all the way down over here before it made the move back up, and now Uber is like literally sitting over here, almost at this third target. So every single one of these, the targets were there, the stops were there. Of course, not financial advice, but just go and look at all these recent rounds of swings. Like most of them, not all of them, but most of them have had really, really good runs. Patted myself on the back a little bit, and let's just keep it going. SOFI was up 28% today. This is just another one. SOFI is currently up 43% since I alerted it, down at 565. Again, huge move after the earnings. It already hit the first target before the earnings, but there you go. You just gapped right above all the resistance levels. Of course, this is mainly thanks to earnings, but the alert was out well before the earnings, you know? And this is actually still interesting because you're now above this level, this like upper $7 level. So that does open this pretty wide zone if you can hold these levels, but we'll see. And if you can't, then that 662 level is also not only a support now, but also a gap fill. And this is also your highest volume since the beginning of the year for one day on SOFI. And then we have SHAK, which hit its second target literally today. So again, this is actually more of a recent one. I think only a few weeks ago I alerted this one. Literally the second to last, July 13th. SHAK was alerted to all of you in the Discord, and as of today hit its second target for a 30% gain. So yeah, the second target is here because of this 55 resistance level. You can see some lows and highs here from the past, but great job. The final target will be around 51%, sitting at 63.67. So those are the swings. In terms of other stuff on my watch list, AMC went even higher today. It was up 8% today. We've been talking about this all week. And this all started from this 1475 level I was talking about last week, actually. On the stream, I was saying this zone over here, this blue zone, is a huge zone for AMC. Keep an eye on it if it gets above it. And on Monday, it got above that zone. I alerted AMC calls literally right where this green arrow is pointing to premium members on Monday. Those calls since then have gone up about 400%. So that's pretty cool. We also talked about this ascending triangle formation last night on the stream. Kind of gapped above that this morning, and then it back tested it, and then it ran even higher. And then going into tomorrow, you could probably draw like some sort of a trend line here, like an upsloping channel formation. Let me clear these off the other time frames. So that's AMC for right now. In terms of like levels, you're retesting these highs from July 21st. If it breaks that, then 1892 is the next resistance from these highs from April, and then support probably around 1620. As you can see, this low over here, and then a couple of these highs from the past as well. So that's AMC. GameStop also is up 6% today. Nice move there. It had like this wedge pattern that developed throughout the day and just kind of went higher there. Another day with huge volume right at the close. So yeah, GameStop is, and this all started, and again, go back to the stream on July 26th. We were literally talking about how big of a support area that was for GameStop, how huge of a test it was, that trend line. And this has all started right off that. So of course, whoever your friend is that says TA is fake, just ask them why GameStop randomly bounced right over here at this trend line. Just ask them why. I just would like to know their explanation, right? But yeah, that's GameStop up nicely today. Let me see what else. MU. This broke out of a falling wedge today. I told you all last night on stream that I sent this to premium members in the weekly watch list. Broke out today, not only from this wedge, but even on lower time frames. And I was watching this when I was doing live trading in Keanu's Discord this morning. But it broke out of this like perfect textbook cup and handle on the 5-minute. Of course, I got stop hunted literally right over here. I literally put out a tweet today about just how the stop hunts were getting to me today. But it's not always about like the one day where your stop hunts screw you over. It's about all the other days, and there definitely have been many days in the past few weeks where my stop hunts really did save me, or my stop losses really did save me. So it is what it is, but it eventually did play out and run, and I was sharing this as well throughout the day in the watch list channel in premium. You can see this is before it even broke out. I said keep an eye on this breakout test, and as you can see what happened after that, made a very nice move. It went much higher than that actually. So there was that. Take a look at X. That's also my watch list. I had somebody ask me to look at it tonight. It's been running pretty nicely, and I don't want to like do the same thing again, but I was talking about not only X but also CLF literally right at these lows. I had one stream where I said like these are like the two tickers on my watch list for bounces. I don't know if CLF is done, but it's been okay. Not as good as X, but we talked about those wedges and those classic bullish divergences a few weeks back, and those are playing out very nicely. So X kind of got up to honestly a little bit of a random area, and it's been pulling back. It might just be, remember we were talking about XLE pulling back with that breakdown and stuff, might just be following a lot of other stocks in similar sectors. So yeah, now you do have some hidden bearish divergence developing, and put that as a red line. That's really it. I mean, you can maybe draw like a support trend line here, still above it for right now. So that's really it for X. And yeah, coin was up 20% today. Wow. Multiple bottoms at this $40 level, and it's actually not breaking above this resistance here. It's kind of like a scuffed inverse head and shoulders. It's not textbook, but like if you look at it like this, and you already like broke out of it, so big breakout, highest candle close for Coinbase, yeah, I think since May 9th. And if you can hold above this resistance zone, you still have this other like one wick, which is like right up over here. If you break that, then you got a gap fill all the way up at $100. So interesting move off the lows for Coinbase. And yeah, futures are currently down a little bit. Let me read the chat. Why is Anna not a mod? Come on, Anna, right now. Maxime says this is like the rally we had in March. We tried playing puts and it kept climbing. Yeah, I've been a lot lighter on the puts. I did alert those one put. I alerted that one put trade today, and I also got burned on puts a little bit myself today. But I'm still up on the week, and I was saying I was bearish, like with these formations over here. But even though I was saying, and again, I was saying this like 2 nights ago, like I'm bearish, but I'm not just gonna be like, all right, time to like go all into puts and whatnot. Like I was still approaching with caution just because of the fact that we've been in autopilot mode. So I've still been able to like profit this week overall, despite like having a bearish sentiment when the market's been going up, and which is pretty much against my sentiment. But I'm still just playing like the intraday moves and stuff. So I'm a lot more relaxed than what I was like in March. If you remember, I was thinking the same thing, and eventually it did play out, but you know, the puts just kept getting burned and burned and burned. I remember it very, very well, and I've learned my lessons since then. So yeah. Let's see. What's up, Keanu, in the chat? Tesla ascending triangle above 920s. You did a great job. Again, the stop punch just got to me today. My stops were a little bit too tight across the board. But yeah, you did a great job with that move on Tesla. It was pretty much this whole entire move over here. Very nice job. Alright, so that's probably going to be it for tonight. Just a quick update stream. Thank you for watching us stream Bitcoin, getting a little bit of a bounce here. See what happens. If you trade tomorrow, good luck. If you don't, have a good day. Join the Discord, links in the description. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Have a good night, and peace out.